Hey everyone, this is Rhonda with Climbing Culture Daily. And today I wanted to have a conversation about colorism in 2025. And yes, we are still having those kind of conversations, unfortunately. And this is kind of was prompted by a TikTok. I saw a woman talking about little black girls and how people claim colorism is over, but how some black folks are disappointed when they know they're having a little dark skinned black girl. And I was like, wow, we are still here. We're still here. We're still doing this. It doesn't make any sense why we're still doing this. But just like anything, um, colorism has been ingrained not just in black culture, even across the diaspora, but in other cultures as well. We see that in the Asian culture and other places where colorism has really seeped in, and again, this how whiteness and being white adjacent is valued, and with that, here we are still, like I said, I'm still amazed that we're still here. And as we know, the historical context goes back so many years, and especially for Black Americans in this country, we know it goes back to slavery and the treatment of light skinned folks versus our darker skinned folks, and how labor was distributed. Um, that moved on into things like paper bag stuff. I still think that's amazing. That is crazy that that was even done. Um, but I think there was it was an effort to turn things around in the '60s, with the Black is Beautiful. I'm Black and I'm proud. Big up James Brown. Um, but it really still had a interesting impact on our people. My mom was a dark skinned woman, darker than me, and really had a very interesting take on the 60s mantra of Black and I'm proud, because for her, a decade earlier, when she was a little girl in the 50s, she was being called black and ugly. So she was like, how did that change? I remember having this conversation, and even though she felt racially proud, so she was very much fist in the air and afro and the whole thing, but when it came to her own beauty, she really was challenged by that. And I just remember having those conversations with her, which were really just so disappointing and sad, because my mother was very beautiful, was told she was very beautiful, just never believed it. And this is still happening in 2025. And as a dark brown skinned woman, I have definitely been looked over because of my color. Um, I've even had men who found themselves attracted would do the to be so dark. And I was like, well, that's weird. But anyway, so we hear those hear these things, and we still see how colorism shows up. And unfortunately, we still see that put into play a lot in hip hop, and how we still have conversations about beauty, how we see um, partnership happens, and and yet we still are not having really real conversations about what that does to us as a community. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I really kind of also wanted to talk about just how to combat that. I mean, we have to and I hate to say it's, Black women are probably going to have to take this on more so than anything, but um, how are we uplifting and pushing out um, our beauty in all spectrums without it being an issue that, the light skinned woman still gets to be celebrated for her beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be angry because Halle Berry is mentioned 100,000 times in songs. I mean, Halle is a beautiful woman. So we don't want to diminish other Black women because of their being light skinned. But at the same time, it is for all of us to uplift and support and acknowledge our beauty in all its colors and spectrums and those things. I think on the male side, with when it comes to men, I think they don't understand how they got here in their colorism, which I think is really interesting, and having conversations that you really took the bait more so than anybody, because Black women love Black men. Black women love Afrocentric features. We love a wide nose and some thick lips and some dark skin and a little kink in the hair does not just have us turn away. We gonna look extra hard. I just saw a woman talking about malice on TikTok. And I understood what she was saying. She was like, "That malice? Oh my gosh, Black man, like this blackness, like he exudes the blackness of the Black man, kind of thing." And you could read the comments of the women going, "Yes, I mean that's masculinity, that's strength, and he's just chocolate, all the things." And yet you would not find that equivalent. You would not find, like Dochi is gorgeous. And at every turn, she is being diminished as an industry plant. You, that don't even make sense. But she is gorgeous. Ugh. Um, And so that is where I would really want to have conversation is with our Black brothers and understanding that it really still does go to how you view um, yourself, your adjacency to whiteness, and what does it mean um, to not see yourselves and see your mothers and see your sisters in the beauty of a partner as well, right? It's really insane to me. And I think it's Black women, especially, or it's darker skinned Black women, you know, sometimes we end up having to find singlehood. It's nothing to do with our attitudes. A lot of you men think out here we're single because we got bad attitudes and all. No, we walk through life not having anyone, any male admiration, right? Because our hair doesn't curl up just right. Our skin isn't light enough or whatever, and so we don't get, and especially if you're not that kind of woman who puts yourself out there, you just don't feel like you're being chosen. And that's why you have some Black women who are single and some Black women who are angry when they see lighter skinned women. Um, like I said, that's unfortunate, but it becomes from that hurt, that hurt. But I do want our Black brothers to dig into some history. I always say I really wish Black men would take a history in women's history and especially women's Black history and get a better understanding. But even in their own history of understanding the longing for some adjacency to success through whiteness, why colorism still exists. It's not just simply as beautiful, more beautiful. It's not that simple. Um, and is just a lot of work that still has to be done. And I think what happens sometimes is some black men end up having dark skinned black girls and can see the beauty in their girls, and they want their girls to have high self-esteem and all those things, but still don't see that in a partner. And I really think it has also to do with how other men will see your partnership, right? um that's just even like, there's a YouTuber on here, I'm not going to say his name, and he was reviewing Sinners and had a really virile, ugly attitude about um the lead Annie, um knowing all the things, being the smartest in the room, and literally said, why would they have this fat black woman being, and I was like, wow, this is a black man, but he was upset, and not and really it was also the him saying, but not the pretty white woman, get the pretty white woman over here. And I was like, what? So these are the things that we hear, and your daughters hear. We hear we hear those things. Um, and like I said, how is colorism still a thing? And so it really is change. It's being intentional. So as Kendrick has been charged with colorism, I remember that situation a couple of years ago. I can tell he was very intentional with the tour in the beauty and the positioning of dark-skinned women as his dancers and in certain aspects of the show. I can see that intentionality there, as he, was challenged by, I mean, Drake challenged him too, but I think it was a woman that challenged his partnership with Whitney and his activism. But throughout history, if you look at the men who were in right to power, who was on their arms, wasn't the darkest skinned black, woman. Go look up some Huey Newton, some some stuff. Go look at some of the folks. They still kind of suffered from colorism. And so I see that intentionality. I see the intentionality of some of the rappers, hip hop artists who are saying, okay, I will push and put up front Black beauty, but there's so much more to do in saying that the closest you get to whiteness, the more beauty that's there, the more success that's there, and that if that's and you not knowing that that's what's happening in the back of your mind. Like I said, I'm a mother of a light skinned daughter, so my conversations with her were a little different because I knew and she learned that some of the attention that she was getting wasn't because of who she is as a person, but it's because of, how she presents in the world, right? And and so that conversation, has always been interesting because I had to come out of myself and anything that I had about who I am as a darker skinned Black woman, and having a healthy conversation with my daughter so that she can still feel very assured that she is just, she is valuable and beautiful and all those things, how she came into this world. And we've had wonderful conversations through the years about colorism and how to fight it and her take on it and all those kind of things. And, we really do need to have these honest conversations. And so, like I said, I just wanted to do this little video because, like I said, it's really been a very interesting journey as I have, am now in middle-aged woman that's lived through being victimized by colorism in some ways. But at the same time, really has fought for just my own self-esteem and understanding that this is it. I have nothing to do with my color. I have nothing to do with my hair texture. I have nothing to do with anything here. Everything that am responsible for is internal, and that is where I need to be judged because I have nothing to do with anything with this. Nothing. And that goes for anybody on the spectrum of color. No one should get credit for being a darker or lighter skinned person. They have nothing to do with that. That is how they came into the earth. And so it is up to them to navigate this planet the best way they can, right? And so with that said, yes, we still have such long ways to go. And I almost feel like it's a longer way to go than we've had. I mean, I was in my 20s in the 90s. Was colorism there? Yeah. I mean, it was, but still, it wasn't as bad as it is now. And I'm amazed by that. And I'm saddened by that. And it is so unfortunate. And I want us as a community to really work on this. And I really encourage my, Black brothers to dig deep and look at yourselves and, those who are finding themselves leaning towards or being disgusted by, because I've seen Black men be disgusted by somebody's dark skin. I'm like, what is happening? Anyway, what can we do to get this thing back on track? As a community, as I said, community is medicine. I'm here for the village. I'm here for the climb. I'm here for us to get it together and understanding that Black is beautiful in all its shades. So from the lightest of the skins to the darkness of the skins, I'm here for it. And just love yourself and find beauty in, we got to find beauty in other things than some aesthetic and a look that we have nothing to do with. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any comments, let's talk about it. Get into the comment section, like, subscribe, and share. I'm getting used to saying that. And this is Rhonda. I'm glad you're here for the climb. And until the next time.